Welcome to today's edition of Mental Health Matters. Today, we're going to be talking about fatherhood. I have Philip Cavill on the show today, and he's going to share his experience about being a father. Get you something to drink and get you a snack, and come on back. Welcome to our show, Phil. How you doing this morning?
Doing all right.
Doing all right. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I do want to thank you for taking the time to let me interview you this early Saturday morning. I'm always mindful of people time, especially on the weekend, because I know sometimes people kind of like to sleep in on the weekend. So thank you.
Oh,
Um,
no
we'll,
problem.
we'll start off with you introducing yourself and just kind of go from there.
All right. Well, my name is Philip Cavill. Um, I'm 48 years old. I have four kids, four guy kids, and two stepchildren.
Two
Uh,
stepchildren.
yep.
Okay.
I have four grandchildren.
Four grandchildren.
Um,
Nice.
I'm in the military, been in the military for 17 years.
Wow.
I've been deployed roughly about 6 days away from having 6 years of combat deployments.
Oh, nice.
You know, I've
So what made you well, I guess I'm going to ask you, so how old are you when you got signed up for the military, and what branch of the military are you currently in?
oh, well, I signed up when I was in high school. I was
Oh,
17 when I signed up, and then stayed in for roughly 6 years. Then I got out, and I stayed out for 14 years.
okay.
And then I came back in, and both reasons that I joined the first time and re-enlisted was because of the first one was because I needed money for college.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The second time I re-enlisted because my kids were gonna need money for college.
Okay. Well, that's a
So
good reason to do that. All right, no, I was just curious
yeah.
about that. So,
hmm
how old were you when you became a father for the first time?
I was 20,
20 years old.
20 years old in college. Yep.
Okay. So 20 years old in college. So what was your mindset when your baby's mother, when she came to you and told you that she was pregnant? Like what was going through your mind at that moment?
I mean, honestly, I was happy.
You was happy? Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't scared. I mean, you like I said, I teach my kids and any kids that are around me, I talk to them when it comes down to uh, having kids.
Yeah.
I'm like the only 100% way that you will not have kids or catch a disease is you're abstinent.
Right. Absolutely.
So I mean, when you lay down with someone, it's always a possibility that they can end up pregnant. So
Yeah.
so it comes with the territory. You have to be man enough to step up to the responsibilities of being a parent.
Yeah.
You know,
So 20 years old in college, how did that affect your studies? Like how did like you in school, you got a brand new baby, like how was that for you? How did it affect your mental health?
oh, it was rough. I ended up not finishing,
Hmm.
but I did one thing that I wanted to make sure of was that you know my kids' mothers, they graduated from college. You know,
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that they got an education because I knew they were going to be with them the majority of the time. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that their mothers had the education that they needed, and it was very stressful,
Yeah.
but, I love my kids and it was my responsibility to be there for them. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned baby mothers, kids. So did you have any other kids in college, or was your other children born after you got out of college?
yes, I had my second child was born 9 months after my first child was born.
Okay.
So
The same
they both
mother.
no,
Was it?
it was a different mother,
Okay.
and it was that created a lot of stress.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure.
but the one good thing, both being in the same town, my oldest two grew up with each other. They knew
Yeah.
each other. They went to the
Yeah.
same daycare, and they ended up going to the same, grammar school, and then they went to the same high school. So they knew each other. So that was a plus. That was a blessing in
Yeah.
disguise.
Yeah. So how was that for you with two baby mothers? Did the two women know each other or know of each other?
Yeah, they knew of each other, and it
And so
was
how was that dynamics of that relationship with you have two baby mothers? Like how did that go for you?
it was very it was hard to deal with because it was just dealing with two different attitudes, and because I decided, I was like, you know what, you know I didn't want to be with them
Okay.
in a relationship. That created problems.
Yeah.
um, but my whole thing was that no matter what's going on between me and the mothers, that should have nothing to do with me being there for my kids
Yes,
and them
absolutely.
allowing me to be there for my kids. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that we have, is that, if if children are born out of wedlock, then the mothers, you know, sometimes tend to be like, well, okay, since you don't want to be with me, you can't see my kids,
Yes.
you know. But then on the other hand, too, you do have those fathers that's like, yeah, I don't want to be with you, and I don't want to be bothered with the kids, and
Yeah.
I think that's what's the biggest problem with our kids growing up today, is that, we need you need both parents. you know
Correct. Yes.
I mean, my mother and father, they had a divorce when I was
Yeah.
young. I was in fourth grade when they got their divorce.
Yeah.
And, you know, I needed both of them
Yeah.
because my mom, she couldn't teach me how to be a man. And my
Exactly.
dad couldn't teach me about women because
Yeah.
he's not a woman, and my
Right.
mom's not a man. So, it people need to realize that it's more about the kids now. When you have kids, it's no longer about you or your significant other. It's
Yeah.
about the kids. You know,
Yes.
they didn't ask to be brought into this world, and we should be there to take care of them,
Yes.
you know,
Absolutely.
and be there for them.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, did you have a close relationship with your father after the divorce?
The relationship with me and my dad, I saw him, all the time. During the summers, I would go and stay with either him, or I would go stay with my dad's mother, my grandmother, in Des Moines. Um, we we had a not as close of a relationship as I would have wanted.
Yeah.
Um, More so, my dad really we didn't never talked a lot,
Yeah.
but he taught me how to play chess.
Hmm.
Taught me how to play card games, and
Yeah.
dominoes, and stuff like that. Now look at those lessons, especially chess. It's basically I look at chess as life, you
Yeah.
know, and I think that's what he was trying to instill in me,
Yeah.
even though we really never really talked really serious.
Yeah.
But now we do. As I've
Yeah.
gotten older, me and his relationship have been a lot closer than it was, having more meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
And I just look at the way that I grew up. I wanted to make sure I took the good and the bad from out of it.
Yeah.
And I just vowed to, whenever I had kids, that I would make sure I would keep the good and expound on the good and learn from the bad to make sure that I don't make the same mistakes or feel like I don't want my kids to feel like how I was growing up.
Yes. That is extremely important. I do not have a relationship with my father at all. He was never there, never really there. And in 2015, I reconnected with him. Went to Chicago for a family reunion. I really felt led to go and see him. Now, my other siblings, they don't have a relationship with him either, but they had more access to him because they
Mm,
was, in the area.
right.
And when I saw him and stuff, I felt bad. He, looked at me. I looked at him, and he just started crying. He apologized for not being a good father and all this stuff. And so my heart went out to him. I left, maybe I was like 15 minutes of being there. I was able to see that he lived in poverty. So I left his house and I went to ATM. I got $500 out and I came back. I pulled him to the side because I didn't want to feel like I was belittling him in front of his wife and his
Mm-hmm.
new son that he had about his wife. So I gave him some money, $500, and of course, he's cried again. And from there, I started to try to build a relationship with him. He ended up moving to another location. So I furnished his house for him. I mean, furniture, TV. I just bought it all, and I wanted to try to build a relationship with him. And we talked off and on for a while, but it just faded away. And I was telling my sisters the other day, I said, I think a lot of this has had to do with because there was never a relationship there. Like I don't like, of course, I call my mom all day long, but I just
Right.
it's a struggle to even reach out to him, and he doesn't reach out to me. And even like Father's Day tomorrow, and I'm like, I don't feel that he even deserved that title with me or the rest of my siblings by my mother being his son. And it's sad because he missed out on a lot. God has blessed me to be successful. I've graduated, got degrees, did things in my life through God's strength where he wasn't able to be a part of it. It's just senseless. So I used to be really I didn't know that I was affected by that throughout the years.
Mm,
I joined the college fraternity to try to fill that void, to just have some brothers and people in my life that I wanted to love and care about me because I wasn't getting that or I didn't receive that from my family or my it's man, it was something, but now I'm in a better place. I've accepted the fact that me and this man don't have a relationship. I love him like I love any other human being, but he just had
right.
the title of my father. But it doesn't go beyond that, and it's kind of sad, but it is what it is. So
Yeah,
it
that
sounds. Go ahead.
yeah, that right there, it's kind of the way that I the way that society has, you know, raised people, and taught us things
Mm-hmm.
as far as like, you know, I'll just say when I was over in Bosnia on one of my deployments, I saw that the family dynamics over there was totally different on how the family dynamics is made up here in the United States. You
Yeah.
know, and what I mean by that is that their family got together every weekend, every Friday or every Saturday or every Friday and Saturday, get together, cook, watch TV, talk, and nobody really moved out of the house until they got married. And
Yeah.
nobody was forced to move out of the house. Um, the man was in the house, the father was in the house, the mother
Yeah.
was in the house, and I just look at it when I come back over here, that's one thing that I look in our culture is that, our fathers, our male role models, were taken from our homes, you know, and it was a spiral effect because I feel like, we're one thing as we're taught in society as being a man, you can't show any weakness.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah.
and some people will feel like, oh, I'm swallowing my pride if I reach out to my son or my daughter that I haven't talked to in 15, 20 years, you
Yeah.
know, and then vice versa, the same way it goes for the kids, they're like, oh, I haven't reached out and talked to my father or mother in so many years, what am I gonna say? And nobody really knows what each person has went through.
Exactly.
And it has to start somewhere. The healing process
Mm-hmm.
has to start somewhere because there's one thing that I'm very adamant about is breaking the cycle,
Yes. Absolutely.
and that's one thing that, because my dad, he told me, which was his dad divorced my grandmother and moved across the street and married another lady
Mm-hmm.
and had, I think, about 10 or 11 kids with her. And since that was my grandfather, those are my aunts and my uncles and my cousins that all live over there.
Yeah.
I had more conversation with my dad's dad, my grandfather, than my own dad did.
Yeah.
And he just, I never had a chance to talk to my dad about that. My dad, he's still around, but I haven't talked to him about that.
Yeah.
Um, Now that I think about it, I might ask him one day, when we get down there to see him and just ask him, just have a serious conversation with him about it. Just ask him why he didn't talk to him. Because he actually, my dad was a junior and my dad was so set against him that he changed his name.
Wow. Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
So
something
it's,
happening
yeah. And I
for
just looked at
sure.
it, I was like, you know what? I want to break that cycle. You
Yeah.
know, Me and my dad, we talked a little bit more than him and his dad talked. Now, me and my kids, my daughter just called me this morning, talking about, hey, daddy, how I get a snake out the house? Like, call pest control, pet control.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just I have a closer relationship with my kids. Even my god kids, because
Mm-hmm.
it's an old saying, it takes a village. You know, and I don't look at any of any of the kids that are around me. I don't care if they came from my loins or not.
Mm.
I treat them as if they were my own.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get in trouble. Hey, you get in trouble. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not. There's an old saying. Well, yeah, I'll say it's an old saying because it comes from the Bible.
Yeah.
Prepare the ride, you spoil the child. You
Yes,
know,
absolutely.
and I feel like that's one thing that another thing that we're missing in our society is discipline. You know,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I feel like that it was like the father was a disciplinarian and the mother was the emotional,
Yeah. Well,
caregiver.
yeah, but
You
now
know,
times have changed. You
yep,
see, and unfortunately, which is not scriptural, but you see men, women like leading their household, even if they are in a relationship with their spouse, they tend to be more the man, and the man tend to be more the woman.
yep,
And I think that type of dynamics, it throws off balance not only your marriage, but I think it throws off balance what your children is seeing in your household, because I
yep.
think that your children will most likely pick up what they see in the household. But however, there are women that have much of a stronger personality than men. Some men are just naturally laid back, not as outgoing and
Passive.
things like that. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't still mean that they give up their position as a man in this relationship, because it's only two roles, the man and the woman, regardless of what the
Mm-hmm.
personality is. And so I think that's another thing that's going on, because like you said earlier, women are more emotional, they're nurturers, they're more of the caregivers. Men, we're more the
Mm-hmm.
teachers, we're more the providers, we're more stern. So if you
Mm-hmm.
got the woman who has the dominant um, position in the marriage or relationship, then that means that most likely your son or daughter is going to grow up being very, when they should be disciplined, they don't get. So I think, like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
need both. You need both to be able to balance that out. My
Yeah,
mother
you do.
was definitely strong. She was strong, and my father, he wasn't there. He was strong too, which is probably why they didn't end up being together. But my mother, she's controlling. She has to have things her way. And the guys that she dated after my father, they had a very laid back, calm, and personality, because she couldn't be with somebody. She wasn't going to submit to somebody, period. She wasn't going to do it. So I was
Mm-hmm.
telling my mother like 3 months ago, I said, Ma, I couldn't, your personality, which is why I moved straight out of her house, out of high school. I graduated June of that year. August that year, I was off to college because it was too much. But I told her, I said, Mom, I could not, my personality and your personality, I can't do it. I couldn't have a woman like you with your personality, because I know me. Only one of us
Mm-hmm.
gonna be the head in this relationship. It ain't gonna be
Right.
her. and my mother has never been married. She laughed. She said, "Yeah, I know," but that's just the way it is, man. In some relationships, so
But that
um,
that to me is it's, it's so many deeper issues, you know,
correct.
and that's what I feel like. That's what, in order to solve a problem, I tell people all the time that I go back to dealing with the yard. If you have a problem like weed is growing in the yard. If you just take the
Yeah,
lawnmower and you cut it down, so now it's below the grass and you really don't see it. Oh, it looks
yeah,
like the problem is gone,
yeah.
but the problem is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get rid of that weed, you have to pull it from the root.
Exactly.
And that's the only way that you can get to the bottom of it and actually start the healing process,
Yeah.
you know? And I just feel like it's with society, it's been the way that our culture and how our people have been treated over the years, it has a long lasting affect mentally,
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, and it carries on from generation to generation to generation. And
That's
if we
exactly
don't,
right.
and if we don't talk about it or get to the root of it, then that problem is still going to stay there, you
Yeah.
know. And it's, you know, I teach all my kids. And what's crazy about my kids dynamics
Hmm.
is that I have, out of the 10 kids, my 4 kids, my 4 goddaughters, and my 2 stepchildren,
Hmm.
there's only 2 boys. My first child was a boy, and then I had a number of girls after that.
Oh wow, PJ's the only boy. Hmm.
Yeah. So, and then when I recently got married, you know, she had a son, you know, so now I have 2 sons, you
Yeah.
know, and then my oldest daughter, she had twins, twin boys. I was so happy about that because I started to get some more testosterone in the family,
Yeah.
you know, because it's a lot of people or a lot of societies don't realize that you need that male figure. And like what you were saying
Absolutely.
before, it was like it's in our nature to be the protector, the provider, you
Yeah.
know, the teacher, the disciplinarian, you
Yeah.
know, it's in our nature, you know. But when all that is ripped away from us where we can't,
Yes. Absolutely.
then you wonder
Absolutely.
why. And it's you wonder why the kids are growing up the way that they are. You wonder
Yes.
why the kids are something they're out here in the streets just wilding out. You know, like,
Hmm.
you know, I'm from Chicago. And I mean, everybody talks about how bad Chicago is. And it's like, Chicago is not a bad city. I
Hmm.
grew up there all my life. Yeah, there's crime there, but you have to understand now it's just not as simple as apples and oranges. You know, one
Yeah.
plus one equals two. You know, it's a lot of issues that's underlining that's causing those problems,
That's
you know.
exactly right.
And the biggest thing that I sit there and see is that a lot of the male figures have been taken away and taken
Mhm.
out of the household for whatever reason it may be,
Yes.
of their
Yes.
own doing or because something else. But
Yeah.
the bottom line to it is they just been taken out of the family dynamics, been taken away from the home. And
Yes.
it's hard because I mean, it was hard for me trying to be there for my kids, you know,
Yeah.
because they were, you know, they were spread out, and it was very rough trying to see them.
Yeah.
But what I made sure I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna do what I need to do to make sure that when my kids have their graduation, their birthdays, or they have a special event coming up, where because my son he played baseball, you know, when he
Yeah.
was in high school and grammar school, you know, he started playing basketball, you know, my oldest daughter she was in the cheerleading, you know, she
Yeah.
ran track, you know, so I wanted to make sure that I was around for those
Yeah.
special moments, you know,
Yeah.
go to see him. And if that means, hey, you know, I got to sacrifice and work triple, double, overtime, you know, put in
Yeah.
all these hours so I can have some money to go down
Yeah.
there to see him, you know, that's what I did, you
Yeah.
know, and it goes back to men sacrificing to be in their child's life, regardless of the situation,
Yeah.
regardless of what's going on, you know, be involved. And if you did something wrong, you know, admit it. You know, I talk to
Yeah.
my kids all the time. I was like, I wish, you know, honestly, I've said this to them. I was like, I wish I would have had all of them by the same mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, I sit there and say, I wish I would have waited until I got married to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and like I told him, I was like, yes, waiting until you get married to have kids, yes, that's the right way. That's the proper way. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to stay together, but at least
Ye-
you're starting on the right foot. You're starting on the
Yeah.
right path, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it would have made everybody's life a whole lot easier, you know.
Yeah.
But, hey, I made my decision. I, you know, I tell my kids all the time, all of them, I was like, hey, there's consequences to everything that you do,
Yeah.
whether it's good
Absolutely.
or bad. But whatever
Absolutely.
decision that you make sure that you are willing to deal with the consequences that come.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. This whole time, and not
Yeah.
even saying dealing with the consequences, but actually, trying to instill in my kids love for family,
Yeah.
love for each other.
Yeah.
I constantly want them talking to each other, you know, trying to get all of them together where we have a little family reunion where everybody sees everybody and talks to everybody. And because I know I'm not going to be here forever, and they always, when they need something or something going on, they call daddy like, hey, daddy, I need some help with this, or daddy, I need some help with that. I want to make sure that they all know that they have brothers and sisters that they can call on too,
Yeah.
and we all need to be there for each other
Yeah.
and not trying to compete against each other,
Yeah.
not unless it's a healthy competition, you know,
Yeah.
healthy competition, that's good. But when your main goal is just trying to outdo the next person, just because,
Yeah.
you don't want them to be over you, no. Now I encourage, healthy competition. But like I said, I just want my kids to grow up with each other and know that they have each other if they need each other, you know. And like I said, it is so much that can be talked about
Yeah.
as far as fatherhood is concerned. And like today is Juneteenth. You know, it's just a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. I do want to piggyback on some of the stuff you talked about. My father has two kids by his wife. And I got a quote unquote stepsister I've never laid eyes on. She's like almost 30. We've never met. Now she's met my other siblings, but we don't even talk on the phone. I have no, and it's sad to say this, but I don't, she's just like another person in the street to me. I don't, there's nothing in there for her. I've talked to somebody about this before, and they was saying like, that's interesting to me. So my thing was, just because she's my half sister, does that automatically make do I supposed to have a relationship with her? Like, do I supposed to automatically be connected with her? No, there are people outside of
Mm-mm.
family that I'm sorry, I have more of a connection with. And that's just the reality of it, and people don't teach on those things. My father went to prison for something he didn't do. He spent 8.5 to 10 years, whatever. He got out, he got multi millions of dollars because he sued the state of Illinois. And so when he got out, he kind of used his kids in the media. He kind of used I wasn't going for. I wouldn't go. I just like oh my kids, I miss my kids and blah blah blah. This and that. They came to my mother's house. They interviewed my siblings and all this stuff. And I'm thinking like this ain't nothing but a show. Let's come on, because that's my personality. Man, he got all that money. He didn't do nothing for none of us. Not when I say nothing, nothing. But however, he did do he took care of the two kids by his wife. And so he initially was buying cars and houses for his brothers and sisters and all that. So my mother was upset about that, and my brothers and my sisters was upset about that. But I told them, I'm like, this man ain't never been here. Like, what make you think that his behavior was gonna change? It was never a relationship. My mother was hurt because she felt like she always encouraged us to write him and to send him money, which we did. As a matter of fact, I ended up getting involved and had them to send his DNA test into Canada, which actually freed him because they was playing games in the United States. So, I was kind of, and that's how he got free. But he didn't, it was no thank you, it was no none. But I was wise enough to know that this man, it was just to show his behaviors does not change. So when he started doing stuff for his other daughter and son by his wife, then the siblings by my mom, they felt some type of way. But it just, to me, it just, and I get it, but I'm like, to me, if you're thinking logically, why would you be upset? Because this man has never had a relationship with y'all. Do you honestly think that all these years he's gonna like, okay, I didn't get enough from him, I didn't expect nothing from him. And even like now, there's tension with the two kids by his wife and my sibling, by my mom. So his daughter, that's by his wife, and my sister, that's by my mom, they live in the same town in Ohio. They don't even speak. They don't even speak, And so from what I hear, my dad tried to get involved. And, I'm thinking like, mom, he can't tell neither one of these girls not. They don't, because her mother is gonna take her side. Mom, you're gonna take Tina's side. Like it's just a messed up dynamic. And so I don't get involved in it. I stay out of it. Of course, I listen to all the drama, but
yeah.
it's. So I feel like with my dad, his dad wasn't there for him, and you talked about the dynamics and stuff. So when we have these absentee fathers in a home, then the kids are affected. They tend to make poor choices, whether they're selling drugs, they get involved with other things. And then now it's a cycle. Now, while they're out there on the streets, they make kids. So because their dad went there, they wasn't properly taught how to be a father. So they're not there for their kids. And so it's a pathology, and it goes on and on and on and on. And that's what we see going on. These kids are out here, they're broken, they have a lot of insecurity. They have a void in their life, and they're trying to fill it with other things that's actually working against them. And that's what I really think is going on.
That's just like what you had said earlier, that your father wasn't around, and when you went to college, you joined a fraternity to try to fill that void.
Absolutely.
And that's why in the very beginning I said you need both parents.
Yes.
You need both, because if you don't have both, you're gonna have kids that are gonna be they may not know it.
Right. I did not know I was broken.
But that's what they're reaching, and they're searching for that love that they never got from their father. Or
that's
they're
exactly
reaching
right.
out and searching for that love that they never got from their mother.
That's exactly right. 100%.
So, and that's what I'm saying. It has to get to a point where we actually can talk about these issues and be open-minded about how somebody else is feeling.
Yeah.
Because what you went through, it could be the most devastating thing to you. Like, say when you stubbed your toe, you might be like, "Oh my God, the world is in."
Yeah.
That's how you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
I may stub my toe and be like, "All right, that ain't nothing," but that still doesn't give me the right to negate your feelings.
That's exactly right.
And that's what we need to understand, is that we need to take in consideration how that other person feels.
Yeah.
And be able to talk about it and be honest. And that's the biggest thing, is being open and honest about everything.
Yeah.
Because if you're not open and honest about everything, about how you feel or what was going on, then the cycle's going to repeat itself.
Absolutely.
You know, because when I talked to my son one time came to me and he was very upset. I was actually, I think I was in Germany at this time. And he told me, he was like, Dad, I wish I wish you would have fought to be with me more.
Yeah.
And because I was wondering why, you know, he wouldn't talk to me that much.
Yeah.
He would be standoffish and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So I'm like, I'm coming to as many games as I can. And, him living in another city, it's like, I wasn't making, money like that where it was like, hey, yeah, I can come every weekend.
Yeah.
So, I was doing everything I could, talking to him and everything. But he told me, one time he was, talked about it. He was like, yeah, Dad, I just wish you would have fought to see me more. And I was like, I understand where you're coming from. And I was like, I wish I'd have been able to. But me and him had a conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't get mad at him
Yeah.
because anybody else probably get try more. What do you think I did?
Yeah.
Just start going off and start
Exactly.
arguing instead of, all right, let's talk about it.
Right.
Let's talk about it and analyze everything. I understand how you feel. Okay, now let me explain to you my side and how I feel about things, on how I saw things.
Yeah.
And then after we had that conversation, he was like, okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
me and his relationship has been getting better and better every year,
Yeah.
and that's one thing that I want to make sure that my kids, no matter how they feel, and I teach them and I tell them all the time, if you feel a certain way, talk about it.
Right.
Just be respectful
Right.
when you say things, but talk
Yeah.
about it. If you feel a
Yeah.
certain type of way, if you're upset about something or something that hurt you that I've done or somebody else has done or whatever the case may be, let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it and find a solution or find a better way to be like, okay, well, because I'm not to, like I tell my kids all the time, all my kids, um, I tell them all the time, I'm like, I'm not here to make decisions for you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm here to guide you and lead you. And if I want them to make their own decisions on life, you
Mm-hmm.
know, I want them to learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
So that's why my life has been an open book to them, pretty much,
Yeah.
but I let them know, hey, this is what your dad has been through. I don't want you all to go through the same things.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want y'all to make the same mistakes. Make other
Yeah.
mistakes because you're gonna make mistakes,
Yeah.
but make some other mistakes.
Yeah.
I want them to be able. I want my kids to outdo me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want my grandkids to outdo their parents. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And that's how you grow. And instead of that old mentality that, oh, I struggled, so you're gonna have to struggle. And
Yeah.
it's like, what sense does that make? You
Mm-hmm.
know, we all shouldn't just because it was done to you. If you didn't like it, why are you gonna do it to somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
take that same mentality in the military
Yeah.
because talking about kids, I told my unit that you are my kids when it comes down to the military. So I have to look out for you all. I have to make sure that you all have what you all need to
Yeah.
succeed.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do as parents, is to make sure that we provide the avenues and the means
Mm-hmm.
to help our kids succeed. Even
Yeah.
if that means, oh, I'm used to eating steak and lobster every night. If I stop eating, if I stop eating steak and lobster, then I'll be able to help my kids. And my kids will be able to have maybe not steak and lobster, but instead of having peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, they can have lunch meat. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That little difference.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, okay, I would have to sacrifice that. You know,
Yeah.
being a parent is about sacrifice. And
Yeah. I like how you talked about you want your children to make their own choices, and your role is to like lead them and guide them, but want them to learn from your mistakes. I think very that's a very crucial attitude to have, and I mean it's in a good way when you're raising your kids, because I have befriended people in other cultures and races. And one thing about black folks, regardless, we're gonna do what we want to do. That's just the way it is. People can say what they
yeah,
want to say about us. We didn't grow up with dads in the home, whatever, but we ain't for letting nobody control us. But
yep,
on the flip side of that, I have friends in like the Russian and Ukrainian community. I have friends in the Hmong community and just so forth. And one of the commonality that I've seen with these people in these different races is, now this is a good thing. Most of them come from two parents home, which to me is awesome.
mm-hmm,
I've been blessed to learn a lot from these people. But the cost of coming from a two-parent home, and this is negative to me. This is the way I interpret it. They're very controlling. I have a friend who I was, you know, and the family, they really, 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 when I say mean what they mean, well, loving family, close family, but they are extremely controlling to the point where you need to get up, or you need to wear this, do this, and it's everything is about. And when you don't follow the pathology, because in a culture this is the way that it's supposed to be, because it was like that with my mom, it was like that with her mom and dad, and so forth and so forth. And they not realize that the generation is different, times are different. So what worked for you 30 years ago, it's 2021. It ain't gonna fit over here. You from a
right,
whole nother country, and they're in a whole nother country, and you're trying to project your your lifestyle on the way you think that they should be. Well, you're this age now, I think you need to be married, or if you're this age now, I think you need to have kids, or you're this age now, I think you need to have a college degree. Like, it's in their mind, the parents really feel like that they have a right to project the way that their kids should live. And I've seen my friend mentally break down. I've seen his family, and I'm saying this again. I think they really meant well, but I've seen how their behaviors drove this boy to drink profusely. I've
mm-hmm,
seen how their behaviors attacked his mental health, where he started to
mm-hmm,
deal with depression and anxiety. But they really didn't know. They thought that this is what we should be doing because we're his family, or because I'm the dad. I talked to his father about 2 weeks ago, and the father, I was in the backyard, and the father told me, he said, you know, he listened to me all up until he was 17 years old. And it seemed like when he turned 17, he wouldn't listen to me no more. And that caught my attention, because once again, I knew what I already interpreted from the dynamics, but the father felt like that he need to listen to him, felt like the son need to listen to everything that he wanted him to do, even though the son is a fully grown man. And so I often think to myself, like, man, my friend, he laughed and joked. He was like, yeah, Jay, like, you can be in my family or my culture. I said, because he know me. He know I shut all that down so quick. I love you, Dad, but let me tell you, I'm moving up out of here. And if y'all continue to give me all that, I'm blocking all y'all, won't be no communication, because your child has to make that's what's going to make them them. They
Yeah.
have to learn how to survive through the mistakes that they make. How are they going to learn how to survive if you're always there? Well, you know what? Don't do this. Their hand got to get to the fire so they can know how they're going to move. And you need to be there to support them, not control them. You need to be there to
That's
guide
it.
them through. Give them words of wisdom, not force
Yep.
them. It's crazy to me,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point that you just made there.
yeah,
It's a difference between controlling and supporting.
yes, oh
It
yeah,
is it's such a big difference, but some people don't get it. You
no,
know,
no,
they feel like,
mm-mm.
I mean, I understand, yes. I don't want when my kids were growing up, if they, when they was over, I told them, hey, don't go play in the street.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Don't
yeah,
go play in the street. Now, if they make a decision upon themselves to go play in the street and they get hurt,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
yes, I'm gonna tell them, hey, you shouldn't have been out there, but I'm going to be there for
yes,
them to make
exactly,
sure that they get better, make sure that they
exactly,
get the help that they need.
exactly, one hundred
And that's
percent.
where some people they feel like, in order for me to help you, you have to let me control you.
Yes,
And
exactly.
no,
Yeah, yeah,
no, that's not how
exactly,
this works.
exactly, exactly.
That's not how this
Yeah,
works. If
yeah,
you want to help, help,
yeah,
but don't, we need to do things out the kindness of our heart and
hmm,
not because we want something in return,
yes,
you know. But that's one thing that I, I'm I really like what you said is that we need to be supportive,
yes,
you know, because that's one thing I tell my kids all the time. I tell them, okay, whatever decision that you make, okay, it didn't turn out the way you wanted it.
yeah, yeah,
Like I'm talking about my oldest daughter.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I'm proud of all my kids.
yeah,
I'm proud of all of them because all of them are doing big things. They
yeah.
are. Um, my oldest daughter created a big obstacle for
Okay.
her,
Yeah,
and she went to Drake,
yeah,
and she ended up getting pregnant.
yeah, yeah,
She had twins,
yeah.
but I remember when she called me, she was like, "Oh, Daddy, I'm pregnant." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She was like, we just talked for a little bit about it. I'm like, okay,
And she was still in
what you
college
gonna
at
do?
that time.
Yeah, she was in college, and she was on track to graduate in 3 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, um,
Wow.
but um, she because of the babies, it
Yeah,
got pushed back. But
yeah.
anyway, we were sitting there talking, and she was like, I was like, so what you gonna do? She was like, oh, I'm gonna have the babies. She was like, I'm gonna have the baby. I'm like, oh, okay.
So Phil, hold
So
hold that, hold that. Yeah, hold it, because we run out of time, and we'll pick this up in the next segment. Because I wanna get this. I want to hear this. Okay. So I'm gonna close
all right,
us out. Um, that's it for this edition of Mental Health Matters. If you like this particular show, or if you would like the DVD copy of this particular show, or if you would like to be a guest on our show, please dial 916-366-4600. Thank you.